Hello friends, this is Michael Levine. Again, we are now in the concluding episode, episode 3, with Dr. J. Grossman. And this part is going to be very informative about how this very unusual charity in support of homeless veterans and other homeless people unfolded and now transforms.
Let me tell you how Sharon became involved, because this to me is a lovely circle.
And by the way, is it true, Doctor, that you have an active board, and I think some of your other board members are also somewhat famous people. Some are not famous.
Correct.
That's
accurate. That's accurate. Okay. So I get a phone call from one of the shelters in Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. And they said, we have somebody who's been with us for 5 months, clean and sober for 5 months. He's got a toothache. I said, send him in. He's already passed the first criteria.
Of course he is.
He's living in a shelter. Right. The shelter says he's following.
He's sober.
He's sober, right? Mm-hmm. So John comes in, and he's lying in the chair, and I'm working on him. He needs quite a bit of work. I cannot save any teeth.
A human mouth, I don't know this, so I'm
guess 32.
32.
Good guess.
Good. Okay. I knew it was 32. Okay. So a human mouth has 32 teeth, and this man has 0.
He's about to have zero. About to have 0.
Which, by the way, I do know is probably not the best way to apply for a job.
With no teeth, correct. And if you saw him when he came in, there were still teeth that were visible, but it looked like a bomb went off. Now, we have a name for that in dentistry. We call it meth mouth. That's actually a diagnosis.
Meth mouth.
Uh-huh.
Like
from methamphetamine.
Methamphetamine.
Right. So he was smoking methamphetamines on the street for over 10 years. And the meth is so toxic, so caustic, it eats away the teeth. Michael, looks like a piece of dynamite went off, just blew up.
Okay.
And I said, John, what's your story? And he said, well, I used to be a high-end builder and had a brilliant business up in Northern California. And I made a wrong turn. And I go, can you share with me the wrong turn?
Tell me about the wrong turn.
He said, I got greedy. And people were coming to me and saying, can you build the following project? And instead of saying the intelligent thing, yes, but I need X number of weeks and months to finish my current contract, I just said yes to everybody. I did not know how to say no. And then I decided...
Now that is foolish, but not a high crime.
But it's about to be.
Right. Oh, okay. Right.
He said,
I started with foolishness.
I started using amphetamines to put more working hours into the day so I could take care of everybody. Now here's where it goes south.
Yeah.
He comes home to his house, to his wife and his 2-year-old kid. And there's a note on the refrigerator from the wife and says, this is not what I signed up for. I don't want our kid exposed to this type of behavior. And she and the 2-year-old are gone. So he now starts looking for them, but they vanished. She did a very good job staying off the grid. He got more and more depressed and started using more and more drugs because he just lost his wife and his 2-year-old son.
And his life as he knew it.
The drugs got so bad, he stopped showing up to work. Guess what happened to the job? And he owned the business, right? So he now finds himself on the street, and he's using drugs to get rid of the pain. He had no family to really support him, and it became a series of wrong turns. So I said to John, I said, so now you lost your job, you're on the street. How long ago was that? And he says, it's been 15 years. I said, wait a second. You have a 17-year-old son that you haven't seen since he was 2? And he gets a little teary-eyed. And I said, where are they? He goes, I have no idea. So I'm feeling empathy for this guy. He's now in my chair. And I said, what was your transition that had you go from the street to a sobriety clinic?
Yeah.
And he said, I had my aha moment. Mm-hmm. I had a heart attack. And 911 picked me up and took me to county. And as I'm clutching my chest, having a heart attack, the ER doc comes over and says, John, I could give you this shot that'll stop the heart attack. John goes, well, give it to me. He goes, here's the problem. This is a county facility. Funds are limited. You're having this heart attack because you're using drugs. I'm going to stop the heart attack. You're going to go back out there, use drugs again, and I just wasted some medication on somebody that doesn't care about their life. So, John and
also tough love. Also
that's
tough
correct.
Love.
John and this doctor had a staring contest. And John said, I'm sure you've heard this before from addicts, but I promise I'm done. And the doctor stops the heart attack and says, I'm going to hold you to that. Next day, the doctor's doing rounds. John, how you doing? Doctor, thank you. I appreciate it. I have another huge favor. I need $20. And he goes, really? You're going to go get another speedball? Like it's not even been a day. He goes, nope. Cab's coming to pick me up. I'm checking into a facility in Santa Monica. The doctor wheels him out to the cab and gives the cab driver the $20 and says, do not stop any place.
Right. And don't give him the 20, give the cab
Right.
driver.
Now,
here's what I would be interested in. And you don't maybe know this, but it would be interesting to me. Did he pay him back the $20?
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
That's a great
Isn't that
question.
fun?
And knowing John, I bet you he did. Because here's what happened.
Part of his recovery would be to pay back.
It would be. And here's what he did for me, which I thought was fascinating. So he's lying in the chair, and I'm talking to Jennifer, my assistant, who gave me the job and has been now with me 32 years. And part of my job as a dentist is to tell stories, monologues, because my fingers are in people's mouth. They can't talk back.
With sharp instruments.
With sharp instruments. Sounds like you've been at the receiving end of that.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I'm telling Jennifer about a project I'm about to take on in my house. I'm going to build a retaining wall out of concrete because there's a hill and it's sliding down. And Jennifer has heard me say much stupider things.
Why don't you call John?
So she goes, that's nice. John raises his hand. I goes, everything okay down there? He goes, yeah, Doc, do you need a hand with that wall? And I said to myself, you know what? The guy wants a job. Right? So I give him my address. Now, at the time, I'm living in Malibu Hills. I need a GPS to find my house, and 25 years ago, there was no GPS. But 7 o'clock the next morning, John's at the door. Well, I'm not even awake yet.
Yeah.
It's a start. He showed up.
That's right.
Showed up.
Attendance.
So I show him the job, and I showed him the materials.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the 3 bags of concrete.
Mm-hmm.
He said, 3 bags for a retaining wall? Yeah, isn't that enough?
No, 30.
He goes, where's the rebar? I go, what's rebar? And then he goes, where's the wood? I go, no, cement wall, not a wood wall. He goes, doctor, cement starts as a liquid. The wood forms it. The rebar holds it together. So it's probably a good thing I didn't do that. So he goes, you're short a lot of materials. I'm going to guesstimate about $500. So I give him $500, and he takes off.
Good luck.
Now, do you know what I was thinking about 2 hours later?
You just lost $500.
Right. Well, 2.5 hours later, I hear him coming back because his car, which has no shocks, is dragging along the street because there's 3,000 pounds of concrete in the back. 3 days later, the job is done. The most breathtaking retaining wall I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. I allocated 20 minutes for the job, so obviously I don't know what I'm talking about.
Maybe you underestimated.
I said, John, I take my wallet out. I said, I apologize. I didn't ask you for your day rate, but thank you so much. And he turns to me and he gets angry. He says, why would you insult me? I just worked my ass off for 3 days. I said, I know you did.
Yeah.
He said, how much money did you put in my mouth? He goes,
and there were 32 teeth.
He goes, I'm done taking handouts. Now,
I don't do that anymore. See, I used to do that, and it didn't work out too well.
So I got moved.
Yeah, I got moved.
Now,
I love that.
My wife is listening. My wife, the shrink. Mm-hmm. She goes, John, that was really generous. I'd like to put up a pot of coffee and hear your story. And I want to talk to you about the next job that I want done at this house. But just to be clear, you're paid in full.
For that one.
2 years later, he was living with us. He moved in. He was living with us and redid every room in my house. While he was living with us, I asked for his wife's full name. I come to my office and I look her up. It takes me about 40 minutes to make the right phone call. And the phone call goes something like this. Hi, I'm looking for John's ex-wife. This is her. Wow. I want to let you know that John is alive and well. He's now 9 months sober, and he's looking at making amends. What he's learned was that what you did saved your son from a dangerous situation, and he no longer looks at you and is angry, is upset, but got that it was the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. And I would like to know whether or not I could help mediate that phone call, if you would be willing to accept that apology. And she goes, who are you? And they said, you have a computer in front of you? She goes, I do. So she types in Jay Grossman. She goes, I see Jay Grossman Concierge Dentistry and Jay Grossman Homeless Not Toothless. I go,
which one are you?
I'm both.
Right.
Two separate websites, but so I said, he's really interested also in seeing whether your son would be willing to have a relationship. Right. And she goes, let me ask. So I hear her hold her hand over the phone. Hey, Taylor, your dad's alive. Do you want to meet him? Can you imagine?
Wow.
So he goes, my God, yeah, I'd love to meet him. So I said, what does he do? She goes, he finished 11th grade 2 days ago. He's home for the summer doing nothing. He'll probably be getting in trouble. I said, you're telling me he's free today to meet his dad? She goes, yes, but we live in the Midwest. I can't afford a ticket. I said, just let me see if I get this right. If I got him here and he stayed with us, my wife and I would supervise for a week, you would be okay with him flying out? She goes, I would. I go,
as long as I don't pay for it.
What's the nearest airport? I said, what's your email address? And she goes, and there's a ticket. Mm-hmm. She goes, well, you work fast. I said, we'll pick him up this evening. So I finish my day, I go home, I go, John, I need you to clean up, I need you to run an errand. I said, shower, here's my car. I said, need you to go to the airport, pick somebody up at this airline. He goes, great, what does the person look like? I go, I have no idea. And he laughed, he goes, well, how am I supposed to recognize him?
He might look like you.
And I said, do you think you would recognize your son? And there was this pregnant pause. He goes, excuse me? I said, Taylor lands in 2 hours.
Wow.
Taylor still calls me on Father's Day. It's been 20 years. John is working, paying taxes, clean and sober.
How do people watching this show all over the world who don't know you, never met you, never will meet you, how do they learn more about the Homeless Not Toothless mission?
So I put resources on the website, homelessnottoothless.org, and it's everything how to set Homeless Not Toothless up in your town, how to donate to us. I do want to say, and this is something I'm very proud of, that 92 cents out of every dollar that gets donated goes directly to patient care. My dollar a year is not where our expenses are. Our supplies and our labs is where our expenses are. And the other 8% is administrative and filing taxes.
I've heard you've had UCLA students come here and do dentistry for free on weekends.
Yep.
But one of the things, again, I got to say goodbye, but this idea that you have created maybe a template for people living in other cities, in other countries, and essentially it says some version of, now listen here, Mary or Jose or Henry, if you're touched by this story, you might want to try it in Philadelphia, see, or something of that sort. I like that template, and have people done that?
They have, and it's starting, and we're in negotiations with a very large dental organization.
Like a franchise, like a charitable franchise.
Exactly, because the truth of the matter is that this is not just good for society and humanity. This is actually good for business too.
Talk about that.
You know, when people come to me and they go, how is it you justify your prices or whatever? And I said, I want to let you know that we've treated 124,000 people that are unhoused. We've given away $10 million worth of free dental care to help end homelessness, to help do our part. So I want to thank you.
You're not going to end homelessness. We're going to
help.
Contribute.
We're going to help. You coming to us actually helps us help society.
Yep.
It's a win-win. Besides the fact that I feel great after the stories, the story about John, the fact that I'm still in touch with him. I went out to visit him a few years ago, and when he bought a motorcycle, he was so excited. He goes, I bought a motorcycle with cash. We went out there, we had a boys' weekend. We cruised up around Albuquerque for 3 days. And I'm like, I'm with a homeless guy that's now paying taxes and has a relationship with his son.
It's a great story. Thank you. This has been a show that I think has been very consistent with the theme. I didn't know where we were going.
Without notes.
Without notes.
It was lovely.
Thank you again.